Hi there. This week I'm here to talk about leadership and management. What's the difference? What happens if you have one without the other? And why does it even matter anyway? Now, you've probably got a leadership team in your organisation, and likely this consists of a bunch of senior folk from HR, sales, marketing, functional areas, the CEO's office, etc. Perhaps you're even one of those people, or you aim to be there one day. But just because it's called the leadership team, does that necessarily mean that everybody in that team is a leader? Well, of course not. Some people lead very well while others do not. Some people need to lead while others do not. In fact, many of the people that we consider to be in positions of leadership are actually in positions of management. Perhaps it would be better to call them positions of power or positions of authority. Now, I'm not trying to start some sort of turf war here. I'm not saying that one is better than the other in some way or more glamorous or has a higher status. I'm merely saying that there is a difference. Leadership and management are both vital, but I do think it's important to identify which one best describes your job. Why? Well, it's mostly because they're very different roles with very different responsibilities, different aims and different outcomes. And therefore, they need different skills and a different mindset. Now, leadership and management has been required since the dawn of civilization. But management, as we think of it today, has really been under an intense amount of thought and study since the Industrial Revolution. And this is mainly due to the relatively sudden requirement to manage such complex organisations and initiatives. Cottage industries were gone and large corporations started to appear. And now we find that good management is vital for success in almost every commercial endeavour. And a whole industry exists around management consulting and education, which just simply didn't exist before. In the past century or so, a lot of work has been put into refining ways for managers to keep these large, complex organisations on time and on budget. And this work, of course, still continues. The work of a manager involves planning and budgeting, setting goals and targets for the near future, establishing detailed plans and timelines and allocating resources to meet those goals. It's also around organising and staffing, and this involves communicating the plan and getting the right people in place to accomplish that plan. Importantly, the work of management involves delegating the responsibility of the tasks that need to be accomplished in order to meet the plan, and then putting systems in place to monitor progress. And finally, it's about controlling and problem solving. This is about monitoring the actual results against the plan, identifying any problem areas and putting plans in place to address those problems. As I said, good management is absolutely essential and more so today than it's ever been. It really is the way that we bring consistency and order to our organisations. But this is a completely different outcome to that which we require from leadership, which is all about movement and change. Leadership is all about establishing direction. This is having a vision for the future and putting strategies in place to achieve it. It's about aligning people and getting a buy-in for the vision. I've got another video about that, which I'll put a link to in the description. And of course, it's about motivating and inspiring people. We often talk about resistance to change and how we overcome that. But more than that, it's about using our interpersonal and emotional intelligence skills to really help people keep moving in the right direction despite any obstacles they may come across. Again, I've got another video about the importance of emotional intelligence for leaders, which I'll link to as well in the description below. So we can see that they're both working in really similar areas. They're both thinking about what needs to be done, getting the resources and the people together to accomplish it, and trying to ensure that we achieve the desired result. But management is all about efficiency, order, creating a degree of predictability and achieving results, whereas leadership is really just focused on producing useful change. Leadership alone can't keep a project on time and budget year after year, and management by itself won't be able to ensure that we stay ahead of the game and stay competitive in the market. So we can see that leadership and management are both absolutely vital, and they can often be done by the same person, but this doesn't necessarily have to be the case. In fact, good managers are rare and good leaders even more so, so finding somebody who's exceptional at both is really quite unusual. Think about this for a second. Is this you, or are you naturally better at one than the other? Leadership without good management will end in utter chaos. Constant change for the sake of change, which can be dizzying and stressful for employees, and almost actively goes to prevent progress in the present. More often though, in my experience, we see management without leadership, and this can lead to a really stifling, bureaucratic, controlled environment which has no room for innovation or long-term thinking. And the research I've looked at certainly seems to back this up. Many organisations report being overmanaged and underled. Modern organisations in most markets these days need to constantly change and adapt just to keep up, let alone to get ahead. Constant change for many firms is simply a fact of life, and of course more change demands more leadership. Now, chances are that your job will involve a little bit of both. So there are a couple of important things to remember. Firstly, recognize your strengths and work on your weaknesses. Just being promoted into the leadership team doesn't automatically give you the leadership skills of Shackleton or Roosevelt. Identify your weaknesses and either work on them or perhaps delegate that part of the work. For example, a common problem is leaders simply not getting time to work on long-term strategy and being constantly interrupted by operational and tactical problems. Well, if this is the case, perhaps hire a manager or two to deal with that stuff for you. For reasons I've spoken about in another video, which again I'll link to below, it's going to be much easier to find somebody with management potential and develop those skills than it is to find a potential leader and nurture them. Secondly, if it's fine to be doing a mix of both leadership and management, why does the difference even matter? Well, the answer becomes clearer when we think about outcomes and priorities. As I mentioned before, the desired outcome of management is predictability and order. So when you're fulfilling management tasks, focus on those outcomes. Don't be tempted to go off track thinking about how this process could be improved in the future and lose focus on the current problem. And likewise, the outcome for leadership is change. Set aside time for it and don't let it slip down the priority list because there are other urgent issues at hand. It's really, really important. If you fail to spend time looking at the big picture, planning for the future and innovating, then the performance of your organization will certainly decline over time. And because by its very nature, change takes time, it can be really difficult to rectify this if it's left too long. Have you noticed an overabundance of management and a lack of leadership in your organization? What tip would you give to people who are just not finding enough time to lead? And if you found this video useful, please do give it a like to help others find it. I put out a video each week, which is really aimed at starting a conversation around better leadership. So please do consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you soon.